Hello, welcome to February 28th, 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, an exercise that I do each and every day, a little bit after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours, how I did with the challenges and the opportunities that I met. I recite the 8 objectives of my creed, and I plan for the coming day. But before I do that, I want to welcome my new YouTube subscribers. It's great to have you on board. Also, I want to thank my Patreon supporters. I have 2 new Patreon supporters yesterday. Thank you. It's good to have you both on as well. I really appreciate your support. Also want to thank my YouTube members and those that watch my videos for, among many other things, buying me my morning cup of coffee. This morning I'm choosing here at the mini stop convenience store near my home. I'm choosing the mini stop brand Cafe Latte Grande, big size, sugar free. I also got a melon pon, which I already ate while I was doing some things. It was very good. Little fuel for the day. And you Patreon supporters, YouTube members, and the folks that watch my videos make all this possible through your contribution. I really appreciate it. You fuel my adventures in Japan. That said, this video is not a Japan video, although I am in Japan. This is a Japanese convenience store. I use this video in this time as like more of a personal journal. I talk about my life. I do this every day, about the same time every day, and I do the same thing. I talk about the last 24 hours. I talk about my objectives and my plan for the day. And I do this publicly because I do a better job when I turn the camera on. And also by way of hopefully, sharing with others, what it's like to be a 60-year-old man still struggling with life, trying to keep on my feet and maintain my balance, live a productive, useful life as I go forward. So I wear my struggles and my successes publicly to help me improve and to help maybe it'll be helpful to others to see that life's hard. So with that, but I do want to comment that I do talk about some subjects that are sensitive for some people, namely the subjects that are most likely to come up are death, my own death in particular, and not that I'm necessarily dying, but I will, and I want to be ready for it. And then I also sometimes talk about my lack of belief in God. It's not that I'm necessarily, I'm not an atheist YouTuber, but it comes up because it's incidental and relevant to issues in my life, such as, for example, my forever ongoing struggle to have a relationship with my mother. The fact that I'm no longer Christian is a very big deal to her. And has been the case since I stopped being a Christian, almost 4 decades ago. So anyway, those topics might come up, just be forewarned. And with that, let's get started. Have a swig. And I just want to point out, just in case, I just want to point out, I want to say my thoughts are with April and her family, who are, I believe, now in Japan. They left yesterday. April's a friend of the channel, frequently joins us here on on the live, and I know that she and her family are on their way to Japan. We're on their way to Japan yesterday. Hopefully, April, if you see this, you've arrived safely. Wishing you all the best, you and the family all the best, and hope the jet lag doesn't affect you too much. So I'm going to do 3 things from this point forward. Like I said before, I'll talk about the last 24 hours, I'll recite the 8 objectives of my creed, and I'll talk about what my plans are for today. I always keep notes. Today, I give the day to day. I give a new page every day, today's date, and then today has a name. I give every day a name, and I'm calling it beginning day. It seems like I've had a lot of beginning days in the last 10 weeks, huh? Because there have been a lot of starts, but this is a serious beginning day. That's because yesterday, Yumiko and I turned in the keys for our apartment. So if you're new to the channel, quick summary. My wife, Yumiko, Japanese, and I, American, recently retired. We had our careers and lives in Southern California and Los Angeles area, And our daughter, Emily, who is now 24, graduated university last year, moved to Japan, started her career in her life up in Tokyo. And Yumiko and I decided, since we were retiring, let's go back and join our daughter in Japan. So we came back too, here in Shizuoka, where my wife grew up, where we raised our daughter. We bought a house, and just yesterday, we moved into the house and left our apartment. We had established an apartment in this community to act as our base of operations while we searched for a house to buy. Yesterday was our last day in the apartment. We have the house, and a lot happened yesterday. We moved the last bits of our life from the apartment to the house. We had the inspection at the house. We also did I lifted up, if you see my Retiring in Japan series, yesterday's video, I lifted up the floorboards and went under the house, kind of stuck my head under to make sure that there's no leakage with the bath there, so that it's an older house. And so, because we're going to get a new Japanese bath installed, but hopefully would like to use the old one, but I want to make sure it doesn't leak. So we did that test. That came out okay. And yesterday, our pocket Wi-Fi, which is a device we can use from our internet service provider, arrived. And we set that up so that we can have internet at the house, which is really neat, because that means, and it works in the garden. That means, and once we get the mainline internet we're installed, we're going to town. That means I can take you guys out into the garden and do lives from the house. I'm planning to just set the dang camera up in a corner while I'm gardening and just let the dang thing run. And you guys can watch, you can join me in the garden if you want. Also, we secured this week the land next to our house. So we have, not only do we have an urban home in Japan, but we have a giant garden with 2 giant chestnut trees beside the river. So we have, this has been an amazing week. So I titled this day Beginning Day because yesterday, not time out, finished our last step, because it took steps, more than 2 years of stepping to get from our paradigm in America to our new life in Japan. And yesterday was the last step. There's no going back. Careers are over, daughter is raised, house is purchased and paid for, no apartment, we're done. We're home at last. That would have been a good title, We're Home. So let's now talk about the last 24 hours and what challenges I had. And I have 2 notes here. The first says time management, namely videos in the morning. So what I'm doing when I'm talking about the challenges I'm trying to remember what happened yesterday, and I take notes during the day as it's happening so that I can use those today. Where did I struggle yesterday? Or where did I fall down? Because I know the type of man I want to be. I know the man that I've formed myself into so far, and I know who I'm capable of being. But sometimes circumstances test my limits and my capabilities, and I want to flesh those out and then talk about them in this video to see how I did well and how I failed, so that I can tune and improve. So what I mean by this time management was, in the morning yesterday, we woke up, we did our normal routine, and the inspector was coming at 2 o'clock and to check out our apartment. That means we had to have everything moved out. We didn't have a lot, but there was enough. And we had to finish the cleaning by 2 p.m., get in lunch, get Dad's lunch in. My wife's father, we're living in the same community where my wife grew up. One of the reasons is that we can be close to family, and we take care of her father, who lives just a 6-minute walk down the river, and we take care of his lunch every day. So we had to feed Dad's lunch. And then, so here's what happened. As the day began unfolding, Dad's 90 years old. He can't drive anymore. He kind of forgets. We try to keep on top of his schedule because he sees a lot of doctors. And but every now and then he'll phone Yumiko up, my wife, and ambush her and say, I've got a doctor's appointment in an hour that he forgot to tell anybody about, right? So we're not quite to the point yet where we're like managing all of his schedule. He kind of we check with him at the start of the week, what doctor's appointments, and a lot of these doctor's appointments are routine, so we know what they are. But this was just out of the blue, and it wasn't that he had to go to the doctor for an appointment. It was that my wife had taken him to the doctor the day before, and he had left his glasses there, and he called up and needed a ride to there. Now, my wife and I had a carefully orchestrated morning set up to be time for the inspectors. So my wife dropped everything to take Dad to the doctor, because if he doesn't have his glasses, he can't read his newspaper and he can't enjoy his life. Because his newspaper is his life, right? I mean, that man gets up in the morning, has his breakfast, and sits there and leisurely goes through the paper. He'll consume the entire morning carefully reading the newspaper. So we want to make sure he can do that, because otherwise he's got nothing to do. He waits for us to come by for lunch. But by the way, he's got a nice place to wait. He's got a brand new house that he built that's really, really beautiful. And his house is right next to the river, just like ours. So he can literally, if he wants to, he can go sit out on a chair right in front of the river and enjoy the day. And he's got a beautiful garden. So, I mean, don't worry, it's not like Dad's got nothing to do, and he knows everybody. If he wants, he can walk out the door and go talk to the neighbors, and, he's got a good life. But without his glasses, he can't read his newspaper. So Yumiko took off, did all that. That then that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Unexpected stuff that ambushes us. Because we get in our minds an expectation of how the morning is going to unfold. Yumiko and I had breakfast together, and we planned it out. We're going to go back to the place. I'll start on the moving, because I had at least 3 or 4 trips to move stuff in our little car to finish the movie. Well, Yumiko would clean. Dad phoning and saying he needs a ride to the clinic for his glasses, threw a monkey wrench and all that. So already my wife's anxiety is kind of rising a little bit. I have like a sympathetic thing that's starting to rise. Meanwhile, I'm trying to do the videos, right? Because I do these daily retiring in Japan videos. I'm trying to get clips of this and that and the other thing. And after a while, and I felt it happening. This is remember, this exercise, this meditation is to see the good points and the bad points. So the good points too. The bad thing was that both Yumiko and our anxiety was rising. The good thing was I spotted it. And I said, wait a minute, Kurt, look at this. Your anxiety is rising, and I know what the problem is. There's just not enough there's not enough time in the morning for me to do all this. I can't complete all these moves, help Yumiko with the cleaning, juggle this thing that's happened with Dad needing the ride to the clinic together, and make videos. So if you watch my Retiring in Japan video upload, which I just finished uploading like an hour ago, for today, it's the one with Yumiko and I sitting on the floor, day 73, you'll notice that the video starts after lunch. Because what I did was, in the moment while this was all happening, I said to myself, okay, Kurt, something's got to give. And we can't push back the inspection. So time out on the videos. I'm not going to make any clips. And I just turned into total just move mode. So I deliberately made a choice to remove, as a former IT project manager, if I need time, budget, scope, right? Pick 2. I chose scope. I said, I'm going to remove an item of scope from the day, which is making videos for the Retiring in Japan upload. That's why there was none there. So that's how I handled it. Realized the schedule couldn't change. Budget is irrelevant. Scope, I can't push back the schedule. So scope's got to change. Remove the extra stuff. Off we go. And that worked. So I ended up with only a half a day's worth of videos as a result. But I still think the video came out pretty good. It kind of captured that sense. Although maybe I should have explained it more at the time. I need time to think about it. So that's that one. The other one I want to talk about is a topic that's come up a couple of times in my videos, but it's becoming more and more codified in my mind, that I call this high tide, low tide. Now what I mean by this is high tide, of course the tide rises and falls, cyclic cycle, right? In my years, I've noticed that my mood, my base level of feeling is affected by several things: my stress level, my diet, my exercise, and the time of the day, right? I mean, like, I'm useless after about 8 p.m. Nobody wants to be around me after 9 p.m. That's why I typically go to bed between 8:30 and 9, because I'm finished. Because I get up early. I get up at 4 a.m. I'm just done every day. The only exception is like if I could remove myself from the normal venue, like last night. You'll notice another thing if you watch the video from last night. I finished the video at Family Mart, the next convenience store down. I did that because I wanted to drink a beer at this convenience store. And this particular convenience store, this is no smoking right there. They also have signs that no drinking as well, I thought. So I didn't want to come here and drink a beer. But if I remove myself from whatever venue, like if I'm at home and it's like 9 p.m. and I'm not getting ready for bed, watch out, because I'm a mess. But if I remove myself from home and go to some venue, I can go to 1 a.m. I don't know why this is, but it's the case. So that's why I closed the video yesterday at Family Mart, because I knew the video wasn't done. I needed to add a final bit. And if I tried to do it from home, it would be a hot mess. So I went down to Family Mart, got a beer, and sat on the bench and finished it there. Anyway, high tide, low tide. So my mood and my well-being is linked to all of these things: the time of the day, what I've been eating, my diet, my level of exercise, my level of stress, but also somehow inexplicably, it's almost like the tide in terms of I'll feel great, and then it'll kind of lessen, like great is like the high tide, and then it'll kind of lessen and go down to like the low tide, and then it'll come back up to the high tide. And it's been like that all my life, and I expect maybe that's the case with other people too. So yesterday it was interesting. I was very mindful of that. After we finished the move and gave the keys and done, Yumiko and I were on a real high. We took the dogs for a long dog walk, which I didn't capture any video of in yesterday's video. We went for a long dog walk through the beautiful riverside woodlands behind our house. It's just an amazing, beautiful place. Spring is in the air. There was sunlight coming through the trees. The plum blossoms were blooming. There were small insects flying in the air. Flowers are blooming. And I didn't record a single bit of it on video. Yumiko and I just savored it. We talked and we laughed and we walked the dogs and we had the most pleasant time. Truly the high tide mark. And while that was happening, I was telling myself, Kurt, beware, because always, when I have a high tide like that, within 12 hours or so, I usually have a low tide to a greater or lesser degree, and vice versa. So I set myself up for that, and then sure enough, later in the evening, about dog walk time, I can't remember what it was. A series of things happened around dog walk time. What was it? In the evening dog walk time. After we came back from Kusanagi. Oh, I remember what it was. What kicked it all off. I'm struggling driving in Japan. I still can't drive very well. I have my days where I can drive perfectly, but then I have my days or my hours that are just awful. And yesterday we went to the 100 yen store called Lemon, because yesterday was lemon day. Thursdays, no tax. So we went there to do some shopping, and it's only a 5-minute drive from our house to Lemon, and I made one mistake after the other, and it got me so frustrated. I mean, it's the kind of thing like you feel it rising, your visceral, damn it, gosh darn it, damn it, Because I'm a good driver. Heck, I'm a driving instructor. I've been a licensed driving instructor in America for decades. I know how to drive, but for some reason here in Japan, I just can't find my footing driving again. It's getting better. It's like 100 times improved over when I first got here. So every week I'm getting better at it. Anyway, so that put me in a bad mood. And then I went, oh, here's the low tide, because that was only like 3 hours after high tide. And then, well, you came here quickly, low tide. So the reason I'm pointing that out was that was interesting, that I was actually like on a meta level seeing the high tide and the low tide as they were occurring throughout the day, because usually that doesn't happen. It's more of like a postmortem after the fact. I go, oh, that was a high tide afternoon, but I'm not seeing it at the moment, and I'm not readying myself for the unexpected low tide to come. Get it? So that was good. I was on top of it, and I knew it was coming. In fact, when during the walk with Yumiko and the dogs, I said, Kurt, the low tide's coming probably this evening, and it did. So that's it for yesterday. Check marks again. Now let's go over the creed. Not all of it, because it's big. The creed are my 8 objectives and 35 principles that I use to guide my life to live my life to the best of my ability in the pursuit to live a virtuous life, where virtue is defined as seeking after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures, namely reducing suffering. And I go over the 8 objectives every day because they're my North Star. These are: 1, to be always ready to die, to have my affairs in order, my relationships sound, and my life's work complete. 2, to make good and effective use of my time, to not waste my days. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, namely this creed. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who reacts well to the challenges and the opportunities that I meet. 5, to perform good actions relative to my creed. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities so that I'm operating within scope of my capabilities, my budget, my means. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. And 8, which is comprehensive of all the rest, to maintain my balance so that I'm not easily knocked off my footing, which was the case yesterday when I saw the low tide coming after the event of the high tide, and they said, "You're going to have a low tide pretty soon, Kurt, be prepared." And I was, and when it happened after that driving, I pulled into the Lemon parking lot, and I go, "Here it is, low tide. Okay, Kurt, and I stopped, I parked, put the parking car brake, and I said, "You got this," and I did. And then high tide came again. All right, that's that for that. Now, the last thing to do in this morning, this exercise, is to talk about the next 24 hours. Now, being a retired man, you would think that my time is my own. I could have free time to do all kinds of stuff, right? In fact, I have learned that, and I've watched other videos from other retired people who talk about their lives. This is true for others as well. It seems like you have less free time in retirement than you do when you were working. I don't know why that is. It doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive. Yet, that really does seem to be the case. I don't know how the hell I ever fit a job into my life, because I am so busy. I've got, Yumiko and I were, that's one of the things we talked about in our walk yesterday, just how, like, we haven't had a single day off for weeks and weeks, going on months and months. Just go. So many things. But at the same time, it's easy to bite off more than you can chew, to say, like, I'm going to do 3 or 5 things today. The hell with that. You can't do that. One thing is all I can ever really pull off anymore, as funny as that is. And that one thing I'm going to do today, my only thing on my schedule, is to clean the bath and take a shower in my new home. That's it. If I manage, if you see me if you watch the Retiring in Japan video and you see me doing anything else, that's all bonus stuff. Okay, that's it for that. Let's go through comments, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay, Renaissance. Hey, Renaissance, good morning. Good morning to you. Busy Lizzie. Hello, that's a cute name. Hello, Busy Lizzie. It's the first time I've seen your name. Welcome. IETH. I think I saw you before. Hello to you. Twin Lamps, a name from the old days. Hello, Twin Lamps. Good morning, Kurt. Usually catch these lives on my commute just after you finish. I'm glad you made it. Good luck. I hope your commute goes well. LETH says, I call myself an atheist-leaning agnostic. That's an interesting way to put it. Well, I only call myself an atheist from the perspective of I'm not from the perspective of that I claim that God doesn't exist. I just simply haven't accepted any claims that anyone else has made that God exists. So, if you want to call that agnostic, that might be the case. It's not that I'm not proselytizing atheism. I'm just saying nobody's put forth any God claim that made sense to me. So hopefully that clarifies my position. Renaissance, and I am the opposite, an agnostic leaning atheist. Oh, interesting. Well, we're all in good company here. Huh? Let's start a club. I don't know why that amuses me so much. I guess it amuses me because the idea of people getting together under the umbrella of non-belief, which seems like an interesting thing. It's like, what is the thing? It's like let's form a club of people who don't collect stamps, right? I mean, it's like the dark. It's like, what is that? We're non-stamp. There's actually a YouTube channel called the Non-Stamp Collector. So it's anyway. That's funny. There's Robert. Hi, Robert. Good morning, Kurt. Hi. Robert says hi to everybody. Renaissance says hi to Robert. And LETH says good morning to Robert. Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Good morning, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. I will do my best. Renaissance says, at Kurt, the bathroom seems fine, just outdated. Definitely outdated. But you know what, Renaissance? There's another way to look at that, right? I was looking at it yesterday. I was like, this has got a real retro feel, right? Like if you wanted to have like a Japanese, that 70s show, that's the bathroom you'd want. Just clean it up real nice. That's the bath you'd want, don't you think? Very Showa era. Matt, good morning, Kurt. What are your plans with your garden? Boy, what aren't my plans with the garden? You know what? Here's the thing I'm going to do first, Matt. I've got an orange crate that I've got out on the balcony. I'm going to move that orange crate out to the middle of the garden, of the wilderness, because it's basically been untamed since after the war. It used to be farmland, but it's just been sitting there feral for, what is it, since the 50s, so 70 years. I'm going to move it out there and put the orange crate down, and I'm going to think. I think the first thing we're going to do with sister-in-law Yoko is open up a patch. I'm going to clear a patch for a summer kitchen garden, and we're gonna also get a low row of corn going for some autumn corn, and then we're going to take it from there. And we got the rest of our lives to work on it. It's a ginormous space, but if you're curious, what I envision is hashtag Tasha Tudor, if you know what I mean. Hashtag Tasha Tudor. Believe in Yourself says hello to Matt. Renaissance says, Kurt, about the land. The land seems bigger. Didn't you have a hard time acquiring it since you are not using it for farming? It's enormous. You could put 2 houses on that land. And I'm gonna have to say thank you to our real estate agent who worked wonders to get us the land. Renaissance on the zoning in the area has changed over the years, and it is no longer considered farmland. It is no longer considered farmland. That land wasn't farmed until since the war. The thing about the land is, Renaissance, is that it's basically inaccessible. And literally, unless you own the property immediately adjacent to that land, that's me, the land is inaccessible. So no one's ever had any interest in it. So basically when our realtor went looking on our behalf for people, they're like, wow, somebody wants that land? Nobody's wanted that land since great-grandfather Jeremiah. Renaissance, Kurt, if your father-in-law loses the ability to read the newspaper, there are accessories that attach to glasses that read the newspaper for him. Thank you very much. Fortunately, his eyesight's in great shape. So he just needs glasses to read well. But thank you for letting me know. Look for Envision glasses or Cam My Eye Pro. The latter does not require internet. All right. My Meta Ray-Ban does a little of that, but the battery drains quickly. Oh, you've got one of those Meta Ray-Bans. Cool. It's called depression, midlife crisis. Yeah, I hear what you're saying about it, but I've had that experience. You're talking about the cyclical high tide, low tide. I've had that experience since I was a teenager. It's just been a function of seemingly my physiology, right? I mean, it really feels like the tide. I mean, you're feeling great, and sometimes you can figure out why you feel great, and sometimes you don't. And then 6 hours later, you feel like crap. And it's just at 60 years old, I no longer, it used to be when, like in my 20s, I was like, oh my gosh, my life's all screwed up, I gotta fix something. And now I'm like, well, I'm just gonna wait a minute, or I shouldn't have had that Pepsi with lunch, stuff like that. It's not as, I'm at the point now where I don't fret about it either way, high tide or low tide. I just see it as, I like high tide and low tide. It's like going to the damn beach and saying, oh, it's low tide. Yeah, it's kind of smells. Midlife crisis. There you go. Hi, boss. Believe in Yourself says hi, boss Bill. Twin lamps definitely relate to the amount of exercise during the day. If I cannot meet the exercise goals I set for myself daily, I am foul form afterwards. Yep. leaving yourself. Hi, Twin Lambs. Taking a shower. Is unit bath already done? No, the unit bath isn't even. We don't have a date for it yet. We're waiting for. We have a contractor, and our contractor is personally escorting us to showrooms to look at options. The number one manufacturer we want is one called Takara Standard. They're very, very popular. They have a really high level product, and they're very busy. So we went with them. They took our information, and they just haven't given us our quote back. So we don't know the information that we want. They gave us a high level one, but we don't have the detailed stuff. So we're waiting for that. But fortunately, if we can get our old bath working, then time's okay. But I would like to get it done. I think we'll have it done in March. LTH says we can start our own religion of non-believing. Yeah, right. Although I would say that, I stopped being a Christian at age 16, and I've never felt the need it wasn't like it left a hole in my life. Well, maybe for like 6 months, right? For 6 months I was like, now what? And then that's when I discovered that I could basically formulate my own ideas about what works and doesn't work, what I should do. And some people, like my mom will say that, that I'm forming my own religion. And maybe that is what it looks like. But for me, it's just a matter of finding what ideas work. Like, for example, the idea of, and these are the principles of my creed, right? One of my favorites is recognizing true limits and true opportunity. Seeing what is within the reach of my ability to control and what is not. For example, if I choose to go out in the rain outside on a day that's forecast for rain and I don't bring an umbrella, it doesn't make sense for me if it suddenly starts raining and I get wet. It doesn't make sense for me to be mad at the rain. That's beyond my control. What is within my control is to be aware of the weather forecast and to take a damn umbrella with me when I go out. So if you want to call that a religion, I guess so. But for me, these are just sound principles that help me when I'm out operating in the world, to regulate whether I get upset at life, what I fret about and what I don't fret about, where I take action, where I plan, etc. That was my response. It took me a long time after leaving Christianity to find myself to a point where I could realize that I could think my way to a better life, basically, rather than praying my way to a better life. Kind of like the way that sounded, if I do say so myself. Been watching ever since I was a foreign exchange student in Japan almost 10 years ago. Any plans on ever having a fan meetup? Thank you for asking, Kendo TWTL. What I'm thinking about doing now that I'm settled is scheduling a once monthly meetup. Literally and I know where I'm going to do it. It's a shop downtown Shizuoka called Nana's Green Tea. Great green tea shop. And I'm probably most of the time nobody will ever show up, but I can announce it on my channel and everywhere to say, if you're in Japan, or if you're coming to Japan and you want to schedule around it, I will be at Nana's Green Tea on the 4th Sunday or the 4th Tuesday or whatever of every month. What do you think about that idea? And then people can come join me if they want, or not. And then Robert says hi to Kendall. Renaissance, personally, I like the bathroom as it is. You know what? I do too. But my wife won't have that. If you've ever tried Renaissance, a modern Japanese bath, they're really nice. So I think when you see the new one, I think you'll like it. David Davies, it's a very Kominka style bathroom. You may find yourself getting attached to it. And Robert says hi to David. David says hi. Kendall says at Twin Lamps, absolutely same. If I don't get a run or lift weights, I get grumpy. Me too. I got to get my exercise. Renaissance, very interesting idea about the meetup. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear you like that idea. Not See Me. Hi, Not See Me. It's the first time I've seen your name. I see you now. I also stopped being religious at 16. I would consider myself an atheist, but nowadays I research about different philosophical teachings and independently. I keep setting up new, higher goals, and it works. That's exactly what you're describing there is exactly what I did. you know, I'm 60 years old now, so what is that, 44 years later? I think so. And then the result, my Good Life Creed, is the result of a lifetime of trying to find what works. Basically, researching philosophy, the main philosophical school for me being Stoicism, and finding what works, what from those principles work and what doesn't work, and basically just codifying it. I just wrote them all down, right, over time, and that's my Good Life Creed. So you not see me, you and I are on the same, basically the same course. Let's start a club. I would not be Renaissance. I would not be surprised if he gets attached. Attached, or do you mean attacked, or what? I don't know. Are you talking about it at the meetup? Kendo, I love the idea. Japanese language has been my hobby ever since. The problem is my wife letting me go to Japan a week or two at a time. Yeah, I know. All right, everybody. Well, I better run. It's 6:39 a.m. now here, and our dog walk starts in 21 minutes. So I got to get out of here. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. April, if you're out there and you see this later, I hope your trip went well. I'm thinking about you. Wish everybody the best. See you tomorrow, maybe. Take care. Bye-bye, Renaissance. You too, not see me. Have a wonderful day. Have a lovely day. All right. Thanks.